Hello, hello.
Hey, hey.
Hi there.
So welcome back to another episode of ISBN-Depth. Today's topic is Romance Makes the World Go Round. We're super excited to have Alexis here. She works in reference. She's going to be our guest star. And we're going to go through what reference does, and then we're going to go through romance stuff, which is the better topic. No, reference is fine. Don't feel
Thanks so much.
Anyway, so some housekeeping. So all three branches will be closed on President's Day, which is February 20th. We will be open regular hours on the 21st.
Yep, and we do have a few different month-long celebrations. February is Black History Month. If you guys haven't already, stop by and see our displays, Alexis especially, and our children's, teen librarians, all of our branches have done a really great job of promoting that. And February is also National Book Lovers Month and Libraries Lover Month. So,
what's not to love about the library? Definitely
everything.
Definitely not anything ever. February 4th is the adult clothing swap. From 10 to 1, shoppers with tokens can stop by, and then from 1 to 2, it's a free-for-all. So basically what you'll do is you'll, starting on the 23rd up to, like, what was it? The day, I guess the 3rd? Because, yeah, it's 4th is Saturday, so the 3rd would be Friday. So up till about the 3rd, you can bring in clothes, and then the ladies at circulation will look at it and decide if it's in good quality and stuff we can take. And then you'll get a token for each item. And you can keep your tokens, or you can leave them with us, and we can give them to other people. It's up to you. Some people use it as a chance to clean out their closet. Other people to upgrade their closet. So it's one of those things. Do not bring any underwear, and do not bring any hats. But everything else is pretty fair game as long as it's decent quality.
Yep, and we did mention it in our bonus episode in January, but if you missed that, go back and watch it. But February 25th is the Rose Glen Literary Festival hosted by the Sevierville Chamber of Commerce. It's free to attend, but like we said, we do believe you have to pay for a lunch ticket. So definitely go stop by and see that. We are super excited about that.
And our History Center staff is looking for World War II veterans or family of World War II veterans that would be interested in sharing their experience with oral interviews. So yeah, it doesn't even have to be you. If you know your neighbor does it or something like that, you just, spread the word. And we're also looking for other veterans too to start recording their stuff, but we're really pushing for World War II since they're getting up in age there and got to get the history before it gets gone.
Yep.
Or if you're a family member who has very, vivid memories of stories like your family members told you, you too are also welcome to come and share those stories. So
yeah, absolutely. So I think that gets us to the actual juicy stuff, the interview questions. So we're going to focus on Alexis in reference at first. So how long have you been here at KFL?
Okay, so actually next week I will be here 3 years. So I started January 2020, which I know a lot of my coworkers also started around that time, pre-pandemic, and then sort of on from there. Yeah.
Nice.
So what made you want to be a librarian?
That's a great question. So I went to school for elementary education and sort of, walked into the library and loved it, loved the atmosphere. It's beautiful here. And just went for it and love it.
I think that's how we all kind of were,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, can you give us a rundown of what you do at Reference and what services you guys provide?
Sure. So you can always find me second floor reference desk. So what we do up there, several different things. We are constantly, processing the books to get them back up on the shelves for people to check out. And all of our new books are downstairs, but all of your regular fiction, DVDs, audiobooks, TV series are going to be up on the second floor. We've got the Children's Center and the Teen Center, but what we do is in reference is, computer help, sort of troubleshooting and all of that kind of stuff. You can get some important documents printed if you need that. Of course, check out books. And we can help you with series and just sort of anything that you're looking for. What I do specifically in reference is ILLs, which are interlibrary loans. So we can request books that we don't have in our system from other systems around Tennessee. Occasionally we can go even outside of Tennessee. It just depends on what sort of material it is. And that process is about, when you're in-house, it takes about, 5 minutes to complete the whole process. But once we request it, it takes about a week to 10 days to arrive, and we call you and you can get your items. So you're not sort of limited to just what we have in our library, but you can kind of explore other options. So
yeah. I think that's perfect.
I definitely make use of the interlibrary loan system, especially when it comes to like manga. We have a great selection, but at the same time, we don't have some of the older series, and we only have so much room. So, I think I hope I have more coming in today.
Right, and I guess I can touch on our shipments come in Tuesday and Fridays, and I'm sort of. Not necessarily a one-man show. I do have a few coworkers who help me with the process, so it just depends on the load. We try to get it out same day, so you usually hear from me Tuesday or Friday.
And you'll pick up your books down in circulation. She doesn't hold them upstairs or anything like that.
Thanks.
So. And you also you get them a little bit longer than you do regular books.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get them since the process takes a little time. You get it up to a month. And sort of after a month, we don't extend it, but we can always look if you need longer, if another library has it in their collection, and we can sort of send the one that you have back and request another. So you can have it for quite a bit of time.
And what's your favorite part working here besides, doing our podcast?
Wow, that's a great question. So I absolutely love interacting with patrons every day, and I sort of feel like I see so many different patrons, obviously all walks of life, looking for different things, not just library resources, but sort of like, computer issues and that type of thing. So I feel like I get to sort of help people on their endeavor into doing, whatever it is that they need to do. And I feel like the library is a really great resource for that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move down to the topic we've all been waiting for. We were actually talking about it for a good hour before we came up here just to kind of get our thoughts straight on it. But
and just to have fun.
We have a lot of fun here.
We're very serious here. But so romance, who reads it? What do we read? Different genres within the romance category. We were talking rom-coms, we were talking books. I read fan fiction, which has a romantic following, so it's up to that.
Yeah. I guess I can go first. I know I have 2 authors that I just continuously go back to. Basically, the second I see they're releasing a book, I run. I don't walk. I sprint. And that is Kira Cass, which I actually just finished her newest book, which we don't have yet, which is called 1,000 Heartbeats. It's a very enemies to lovers trope. So if you're into that, you would absolutely love it. It's dual narrative. It's beautiful. Very easy reading. I kind of like go back to her whenever I don't want to think too hard. And then as far as adult fiction, I always go back to Josie Silver, which I think we have, if you're watching the video, you can see her One Day in December on display here. If not, I recommend that one and also her other one, The Two Lives of Lydia Bird. So.
Oh wait, I think I read that one.
It's really good. It's sad. It's heartbreaking.
Is that the one where her husband dies?
Her fiance.
And she's takes the pills and then she can. I read that one. That was actually really good. I didn't realize that was her. So I did enjoy that one.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
I'm constantly finding out I'm reading more romance than I consider. I don't consider myself a romantic reader, but a lot of the books I read do involve romance to some degree, and I do enjoy like a romantic subplot, but it's not necessarily like the whole thing. Like I didn't really enjoy Bridgerton, but when I read Marissa Meyer, for example, hers are very kind of romance-centric, but at the same time, there's the plot's bigger than that. If you're watching the video, one of our display pieces is Serendipity, and she is the editor for that one. Normally, Marissa Meyer's an author, and she does have a story in here. But for this piece right here, actually, we pulled this from there's a Kodak display downstairs at Circulation. We have gotten the go-ahead to, start building Kodak's library once they get like the final details done. And so we're really excited to give them a new building, but to help give them a new building, we have fundraisers going on, and one of these is the to buy a book. Understandably, the books are a bit more expensive than you could go get them for retail. Like, of course, you could pick up this. I think this one's like $18.99 retail price, but we're selling it downstairs for $40 because we need to have money go towards not just covering the book, but also going towards the
Kodak library.
And you can see other ways to donate, and we'll have other events going on, I'm sure, or maybe if you just want to write a check, I'm sure they'll be grateful for that too. Maybe they'll put a little plaque up or something. So Marissa Meyer's sort of like a go-to romance, a feel-good. It's not, some of her stuff's easier, some of her stuff's harder. It just kind of depends. She does sci-fi, superheroes. She did a contemporary romance. Most recently, she's gone back to her, she likes to do fairy tale retellings. So her big series, The Lunar Chronicles, is based off of their Cinderella, Red Riding Hood, Snow White, and Rapunzel. And then she's got one called Heartless, which is a retelling of like the Red Queen. Okay. And it's from her point of view. And I love that book. Like, it is a sad ending, but she has you rooting the whole time. It's one of my favorite reads, though it is devastating. And then her newest one, The Gilded Duology, is her kind of, I don't know if it's technically adult fiction, though there are more adult themes. There's a woman who pregnancy is involved in that one. So it's more of a little bit a step up from what she normally does. But that one's based on Rumpelstiltskin. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, she's really good at retellings.
Yeah. So sort of obviously along the same lines, I really enjoyed romance. Like, that is probably my favorite genre, excuse me. But so my favorites are like Jojo Moyes, who writes a lot of very romancy, lovey-dovey type of stuff, but I really like it, and I just feel like it's sort of obviously all about romance, but what I love is that it's like pretty, I don't know, I feel like the main characters are like imperfect. I feel like I have a hard time reading something when everything sort of perfectly falls into place. So I do like that. Sally Rooney is also one of my favorite authors. She writes like normal people and conversations with friends. I love these very imperfect characters sort of falling in love despite, you know, all of their flaws and that type of thing. And obviously, these characters aren't perfect. So I feel like, I don't know, it feels very real, even though, like, obviously it has some very, very romantic themes.
So would you consider yourself more of a contemporary romance or historical? Because, like, I know JoJo, she does both. And with her stuff, she also has a lot of stuff on, like, women's strength and female friendships. And I love those little subplots, too. So you, and I just finished for the podcast the Still You, the last one in the Me Before You trilogy. I'd read the first two, I think, last year. And they were good, but like she's not super gripping for me, so like I could go away for a while. And then I read for the first time the last one, and it was good. It was very much, you know, a girl in New York for the first time and pushing her boundaries, which is a great story in itself. It's just I'm personally not much for contemporary romance, so I prefer Giver of the Stars over Me Before You.
Right.
For me, I would definitely say I do like contemporary romance. I feel like I still tend to go towards like the YA section, though, like To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which we talked about earlier, which I do love Jenny Han. I haven't read The Summer I Turned Pretty, just because I guess my friends have talked about it so much that I just don't want to. Yeah. But I would recommend To All the Boys I Loved Before. It's a really great series.
Yeah,
so
it's a nice light read, but at the same time, like, I liked it for the nostalgia factor. Like growing up and stuff, I thought she handled that process very well.
Yeah,
because I think I saw it in college where the movie first came out, and then went back and read the books, and it was.
See, I read it before the movie, but I think either way, I feel like I feel like they did a good job, basically, in the movies, is what I'm trying to say. Like, not everything was in there, obviously, because you can't. But I feel like they did really good casting and a really good job of, like, still portraying, like, the feelings and stuff of the main character.
Yeah.
But I do think we have, or at least I have a few questions for you guys. A little bit more on the romance Valentine's Day theme. Just because I'm a girly girl and I'm a hopeless romantic. And so today you guys are going to humor me a little bit. So I want to know your guys' favorite fictional couples.
Pass. Go to Alexis on that.
Okay, favorite fictional couples. Well, I'm a huge Dawson's Creek fan.
Me too.
I know you are.
Yeah.
So, Joey and Pacey were just
beautiful.
They were it for me. And, you know, it's funny because when that show first came out, obviously I didn't watch it, but sort of coming back to, I think it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. it was just like a whole experience for me.
I
And
know.
even though,
I love
I'm
it.
not like a young high school, early college student anymore, like it just, I don't know, brought all the feels. So
Yeah, I remember you telling me about it because I'm at reference a lot. But I remember you talking to me about it, and then I immediately like went home and watched it and fell in love.
yes.
And Joey and Pacey were just beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do
mean,
really love them.
Mhm.
But I think my favorite fictional couple goes back to the very cliche, and I know I'll get made fun of it a million times, but Jim and Pam from The Office.
Oh,
Just
they're so
because
basic.
I know they're so basic, but I'm a very basic person, and I will own up to that, and I will stamp that label on my forehead for the rest of my life if I have to. But I love Jim. He's just funny, which, I guess I like funny guys.
Mhm.
My boyfriend's
Yeah.
kind of a joker, I guess. He's a little goofy. But I just love the friends going into, finally we can be together type of romance.
Yes. And I do love
So.
the way they played out, like they
Mhm.
had a family, and
Yeah.
so I definitely see that. I feel like it definitely.
And they weren't perfect
Right.
either.
Yeah.
Like whenever Jim was like moving to Philly and stuff like that, like they had a lot of
had
issues.
hiccups, yeah.
Yeah, so I like that they also weren't perfect.
I'll give it that. I'm not a big Office fan, so I obviously watched just a little bit, and the rest I've gotten through just social media, and it's not my type of humor. So but I do enjoy that was kind of realistic. Like
Yeah.
you had hiccups and stuff. I have a really hard time picking like favorite pairings. It tends to be like whatever I'm consuming at the moment. I very much enjoy. There's very few times that I'm like that couple didn't need to be together or anything like that. So generally, when an author writes a character and a couple together, I'm like, yeah. Now there was I was reading the Poppy War, and there was like kind of a not quite a love triangle, but she was definitely pushed towards one character, but the other character I thought she did better with. And it was but they both were different types of love. One was more of like a kind of like a chemistry attraction, and the other one was like the person that had been there for the whole time, and they loved each other. And like I think, without getting too much of the spoilers, they were actually like had to join their souls together to do something interesting. And I was like, yeah, it was one of those like I sort of like the Edward Jacob thing.
Oh my God, that was such a big thing.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Sort
Growing
of
up.
that like triangle. I even think about the Vampire Diaries and Steph and Elena and Damon. Like, there's something so interesting about like what a different partner brings to a character. You know?
Yeah, and I don't do too many love triangle things because usually like the enemies to lovers trope. I generally don't think I like the idea of it, but people don't play it out to a way where I think it's believable.
Yeah.
And same with like the triangle trope, especially in the like mid to early 2000s. There was a lot of that with like the Hunger Games and Twilight and all those things were getting big. So those got kind of tiring.
Yeah.
So I think Poppy War is the first time I would say I had a quote unquote love triangle, and then even then I wouldn't. I don't know. I haven't had much discourse about that series with other friends, so it's one of those like I like one couple, but I just kind of have the feeling that the other people sort of like the other couple just with the fan art and stuff like that. So, but yeah, to go back, I don't really super have a favorite couple. It just depends to be like whatever I'm reading at the moment. Like right now, I'm reading Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, and I like that pairing very much. And
So if you don't have a favorite couple, do you have a favorite trope?
like romance trope, because I do
Yeah,
my favorite
romance.
books. Yeah, because like one of my favorite tropes is the woman in disguise trope. I love that trope, and sometimes it plays out into romance. But I do like the classic friends to lovers because I generally like it's got a nice validating feeling. Though on the other hand, I don't necessarily like it when it's sort of like the you need to pick me because you've been your best friend for forever. Sort of like what was it? Was that 16 Candles? Sort of like that was not cool. But soulmates, I like soulmates a lot. If you read the sort of not Vampire Diaries, so I think they probably touched it. But L.J. Smith, the writer of that series, has another series that she won't freaking finish called the Night World series, and it's based on soulmates, and that was a nice one. And I remember before we broadcast, we were talking about do you believe in love at first sight?
I don't, just because obviously I've never experienced that.
Poor Mr. Launa.
No, yes, they call my boyfriend Mr. Launa here. But I knew him since pre-K. So I'm not gonna lie and say that it was love at first sight.
It's more of a friends to lovers.
Yeah.
Yes, which is no wonder I'm a Jim and Pam person. But I feel like soulmates is very, like, I do believe in soulmates, but love at first sight, I think you said it best earlier today when you said attraction.
Absolutely.
At first sight is definitely a thing. But love at first sight, I just don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I totally agree.
So speaking of attraction at first sight, I do have a lovely question that I want Sam to answer first because I want to see her squirm. We were talking about our favorite childhood crushes. So Sam,
I didn't realize I was an outlier until I said mine, and then everyone was like, "Oh, that's who you went for." My very first crush as a small Sam was Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And then as I got a little older, it was like Danny Phantom from another cartoon, and I didn't realize that was such an odd thing. Apparently,
I will give you this though. The Phineas and Ferb, not Phineas or Ferb, but Jeremy.
Yeah,
he was kind of cute.
He reminded me of someone I went to high school with, but yeah.
Yeah, I was a Jeremy fan. I hated Candace most of the time, but
yes,
just because, like, don't be a snitch. But at the same time, Jeremy was cute. So I will give you the cartoon childhood crush with that one right there.
But see, most of my crushes don't tend to be like movie stars or singers or boy bands. They tend to be fiction. Even now to this day, like, I'll watch a TV show and I'll be like, that man, and he's 2D. He's not real.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's my embarrassment.
All right, well, Alexis?
I'll just sort of transition from there. So I am very much a millennial and love, well, I guess you're a millennial too.
I am,
so
but I'm at the end.
You are. So very much into Lizzie McGuire growing up, and that was everything for me. And then when Aaron Carter, which, you know, rest in peace to Aaron. Yes. He was my very first crush. Loved him.
I have two, and I already told you guys both about them. So, like, obviously, when Smallville first came out, I was, like, you know, born around that time. So I was way too young. But my parents obviously loved Smallville so much. I mean, that's where they got my first name. Launa is from Clark Kent's love interest.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, spelled a little differently, but that's where I got it.
Mm-mm. Oh, wait, because
Lois comes in later. Oh. Smallville is when he's, like, in high school.
Oh.
And so, first, before Lois, there was Launa.
He's got a type.
And, yes, he does have a type. But Tom Welling, young Tom Welling, was just tall, dark, and handsome. And he was just beautiful. And then also, Lucas Till from the Hannah Montana movie.
Of course.
Which, even as he's aged into the MacGyver character, he's still just as handsome. So that was my little childhood crush.
Absolutely.
Not to mention he was in the Taylor Swift music video for You Belong With Me.
Oh, I remember that.
And that just sealed the deal for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I feel so cold. So I was scrambling earlier to think of other people to like that weren't fictional. The guy who played Casper very briefly in Casper the Friendly Ghost, I thought he was cute.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
No, it's the 1990s version, the live action one
with Christina Ricci.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and at the very end, he like turns into a human for a minute because his mom, who's like Angel or whatever, blesses him and gives him a wish, and he turns into a human. And he was cute. Oh my gosh. I can't think of his actual name, the actor's name, but he ends up going to play on the NCIS, the one in the 13th, not the 13th here. Hocus Pocus. The one who played the cat, but was for a brief time not a cat.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
And he plays.
His name is.
It's not DeNozo in it. In NCIS, it's one of the probies. But yeah, he plays in that. Like, and he was a cute kid.
Oh,
yeah, what's his name though? Ben?
Okay. Thank you, Ben, for giving me a visual because I had
now
no idea.
Oh, the Casper kid. Okay, we'll pop
kid.
that up in the video so you guys don't think I'm crazy. Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna remember that. But anyway, so he was cute, and then but then we got on. I was thinking I have a type. It sort of tends to be boyish, like Tom Holland is boyish, and clean cut men like Chris Evans and Captain America. Leonardo DiCaprio, 1990s edition. Brad Pitt, 1990s edition. I really love 90s hair.
That's
I guess
true, though.
Apparently,
like that.
What was it? Something. Who's the guy who played on Home Improvement? Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked his hair
That is
too.
too funny.
So
I did like Dawson's hair. in Dawson's Creek, which I did like Dawson at first, and then he just got whiny. But that's another love triangle. That just reminded me of that. But another, like, I guess, cliche, like, romance Valentine's question is, are roses too cliche?
They're fine.
They're fine.
I personally, if someone knew me, I would like them to get me another flower. But if they came up to me with roses, I'd be like, heck yeah, someone's giving me flowers? Heck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you can't turn down flowers.
The bar is set so low.
Come on, flowers are a really nice gesture.
And wear suspenders.
Yes. Well, I feel like everybody has a favorite flower.
I like lilies.
I actually love white roses, which I know is, once again, basic, but I don't know, they're just pretty.
I like peonies, and I had them in my bouquet when I got married, so like light pink peonies are my favorite.
I love that. Have you guys ever had like a favorite Valentine's Day gift or anything like that?
Like someone gave to me, or something like one I'd want.
Or either one.
I lived for the high of elementary school.
Yeah.
In college, I would go around, and sometimes if I buy them, I'll give them to friends. I'll give them the little tiny, cheesy SpongeBob or something like. I really like
a little
those.
chocolate, a bear.
But my parents would always get us Valentine's gifts growing up. Did yours guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always woke up to like a card on my nightstand.
And for my girls, I do like a little basket, so it has like a little stuffy and like little pajamas, something very in theme, because I love that and live for it.
So I enjoy like kid romance stuff, but I haven't been in too many serious relationships as an adult, and that's why I know I like to get flowers, not just for special occasions, but I just like to get flowers and things like that.
I think mine is not so much a gift, but like an experience. So like going to like a darkly lit restaurant and just, having a good time, just because I have 2 little ones. So like we don't get to do that a lot. We don't get date night. So yeah, what about yours?
Me and my boyfriend, actually, our anniversary is 3 days after Valentine's Day.
Oh, he couldn't date you then?
Well, the day after Valentine's Day, my junior year in high school, we had team board, which if you guys are familiar with that, it's basically like there's a Knoxville and a Sevierville team board, and you have to like get invited to this dance, which basically everyone gets invited if you want to go. But I was invited, and I had an extra ticket, and I had a major crush on my now boyfriend, which luckily that worked out. I would have been so embarrassed. But I tried to like hint to him over and over again, like, oh, I have a extra ticket if you like want to go with me. And he was like, that's cool. And
he wasn't picking up what you were putting down.
He was a little clueless at the time. But he still met with us after team board, and we were all dressed up, and he wasn't. And we went to go see Sonic the Hedgehog after we left team board, because we left early just to like go see the movie with him. And I rode over we had gone to like Sweet Frogs for like ice cream beforehand, and I rode over, and I actually still wear the bracelet to this day, but I have a gold bracelet on my left hand that has like the Scrabble letters for X and O, which I found out later on that he was trying to give it to me on Valentine's Day at school, but he was too nervous.
You guys just like missed the boat with
we really did.
Luckily things worked out.
Yeah, but he gave me a Scrabble letter bracelet because we used to play Scrabble and driver's ed together.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I still just like, oh my gosh, could write a book.
So how'd you meet Mr. Alexis?
How? We actually met in college. So I went to Walter State for 2 years because, a nice transition from high school.
It's fabulous. I love it.
Absolutely. And yeah, we met in biology class, which funny enough, he had actually dropped the class but continued to go. Took the final exam and everything. And the teacher was like, you're not even in this class.
Did
so
he get the
I'd
credit?
like to know.
Oh my gosh.
I'd like to think he did that because it was like true love. So
Aww, I love that so much.
No, I want to know the administrative story behind that. Did he consciously know he dropped the class?
I don't know. No, apparently he did, but didn't realize, or maybe thought it didn't stick. I don't know. We were like 18 at the time, so live and learn, which I know that's not far from how old you are, but that's okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm the epitome of true romance. I'm like, no, tell me the administrative story. Oh man, Let's see here. Oh, we were talking about rom-coms and romantic movies, and that was also like dragging me up shortly. I was like, I don't think I watch movies with romance, but at the same time, I'm like, do I go watch romance movies? Not really. A good friend in college recommended 10 Things I Hate About You because she, I think, really liked Keith Ledger. I think that's why we watched it, but I really enjoyed it. It was a good, and the memory of watching it was really good. So that one's good. How many times can I say good? A lot. That in the bloopers bin. Anyway,
really, really good.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
13 Going on 30 was probably
I do love that one.
Iconic.
Which I like 10 Things I Hate About You as well. It's kind of a comfort movie for me, honestly. My biggest comfort movie, though, because I do tend to go towards rom-coms, because once again, I'm a basic hopeless romantic that just, loves love for the sake of it, which is probably why I play matchmaker here at the library. But I really love My Best Friend's Wedding, because I think it's just a really great, because I do love the friends to lovers, but I think also I like when it doesn't work out and still everything's okay.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think that's why I like that.
Yes.
How
like,
about you?
there's going to be, typically, there's a happy ending.
Yeah,
in the end.
and she's still happy, I mean, if you've never seen it, go watch it, but, she falls back on her friend when she needed it most, but she put his feelings before hers and kind of, realized she was making a lot of messes along the way.
Yeah. When you brought that up, it made me think, have you ever seen Something Borrowed?
No, I haven't.
It's really good. I think that's a Kate Hudson
I love
movie,
Kate
but it's
Hudson.
sort of, she is in love with this guy, and her best friend ends up, getting into a relationship with him, sort of like unknowingly to her best friend. So it's torturous, but really a good one. Yeah.
here's a deep question, a deep dive.
Okay.
Why do you think people in society in general sort of has like a negative look for romance? Because I mean, it tends to be what people consider like lowbrow entertainment, and it's aimed at women. And is it because, do you think, because it's aimed at women that people think it's lowbrow? Like, obviously, I do a little bit internalize. Like, I don't read a lot of romance books themselves, because in my head I'm like, they're not good, and then I'm like, that I shouldn't be like that. And then I tend to like to read my romance on like fan fiction. So, and I'm like, I excuse fan fiction, but then I don't really always excuse like the bodice or bonnet rippers,
True.
So,
and I do feel like, with me being in reference, I feel like that is probably one of the most popular genres. Obviously, we, thrillers, mysteries, that type of thing are very popular, but we have so many reach for the romance, sort of bodice ripper, that type of.
Yeah, like the Amish romance.
Exactly.
That's
Amish
a really,
romance. That
really
is a
big
huge
genre.
Yeah.
Which I've never tried that genre, and to be honest, I probably won't.
Yeah.
But
Never say never.
never
but-
say never. Yeah, that's true.
I think I've read one before. It wasn't strictly Amish, but it was it was very clean in nature. I think it was like a promise for
Which I think
spring.
that's great. Like, obviously, like, I'm not someone who loves a lot of, raunchiness. I mean, sometimes it's okay,
Absolutely.
but I don't know. For me, I like romance and I gravitate towards it just because I guess I just like the feel good. Like, even if I'm like heartbroken over something or I'm sad, I like seeing other people happy, or I like seeing other people go through the same struggles I'm going through.
Yeah.
So I think it just really, I think your outlook on the romance genre depends on how you've experienced romance and love in your life.
But then there's also, I was thinking as we were talking, because when we pointed at certain books, we were talking about like, this is an easy read, this is an easy read.
Yeah.
But then you've got books like Pride and Prejudice, Wuthering Heights, which are classic romance stories that are classics, and
And I love those,
and those are highbrow. So I wonder if it also comes to mix with like, is it contemporary romance that's so bad, or what sets apart Wuthering Heights from Bridgerton or something like that?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Besides obviously the ghosts, but
Well, and I think that also goes back to like that classic form of love. I mean, obviously our world is very different from the way it was then. So like Bridgerton, it may be set in a similar time period, but obviously Bridgerton has a lot more
He's not gonna
spicy.
like pull out his phone and like text her like, "Hey girl, what's up?"
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
I feel like
but there's still different levels though.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people do still love romance. I know it gets a bad rap sometimes, and I think a lot of people are just like, really, you're one of those? which, yes, I am one of those. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like everyone's different. Like, my dad loves romance and, like, rom-coms and stuff like that. But my mom doesn't sometimes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I wonder if she does the thing sort of what I do. Like, it just... Because at first it was subconsciously, like, rejecting it because it's like, oh, that's low. But then, like, you got to kind of reassess yourself to be like, no, I actually read a lot of romance. I just don't read a lot of raunchy stuff. And then that's another, like, thought, too, is, like, is it also considered lowbrow fiction because it's appealing to women's sexual desires and things like that? And so...
That's interesting.
I don't know.
And, like, personally, I don't really care to read those kind of stories. Like, it's fine if something's in it, but if it's one of those stories where it's just constant, like, what comes to my head is Sarah J. Maas's Court of Thorns and Roses series. She has the last installment of it was Silver Flame, and like almost every other chapter was like someone going to town, and I was like, and again, it gets old to some degree. So like I some of it's personal taste, but also I wonder how much of it's like societal things we've kind of just absorbed over time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
See, and I don't like the raunchy stuff either. And I feel like a lot of people, like, I know we have a lot of older patrons that avoid that stuff, which I think a lot of that is also like belief system and stuff like that. But for me, I just want like the mushy stuff, you know, like I said, like I want the feel good, lovey-dovey romance, you know, storyline where it's just like cute and wholesome or whatever.
Yes. And I feel like cute. It's so nice to read something, you know, you can read something, like you say, highbrow or, you know, more complicated. But I just feel like at the end of the day, like, it's kind of nice to pick up a mushy romance every once in a while, you know, just to kind of have that feel good.
Yeah.
I think I have one more, like, closing question.
Go for it. Let's do it.
On this. Which one's better, the BBC Pride and Prejudice or the Keira Knightley 2005 Pride and Prejudice? And our friendship will be ruined upon this question.
Okay, listen. Here's my thing, because I have watched both. My favorite Darcy is Colin Firth.
Yes.
Okay. Hands down, absolutely love him. Correct, yes. And I do like it because it is a little bit more accurate to the book, because Pride and Prejudice is probably, like, in my top 3. But if I'm going to, like, just go to one to feel good, I go to Keira Knightley. And that's only because just, like, the cinematography... It just gets to me.
It's a beautiful movie.
Yes.
It does not, to me, feel like Pride and Prejudice.
It doesn't.
BBC.
It's very different.
The actress who plays Elizabeth in that just, to me, is Elizabeth. Keira Knightley's just a waif.
Yeah, she's just a pretty face to kind of go with the character, you know. But I think just, like, the feel-goodness of, like, the cinematography, I go towards that one. As far as the actual, like, plot and the accuracy towards the book, the BBC.
You have a preference? Have you watched both?
I haven't watched either. So
oh my gosh.
I hope our friendship isn't.
No, that's fine. You cannot pick the wrong choice if you haven't watched it.
To be determined.
To be determined. We'll sit you down to watch it. We'll start with the BBC one first. Because, yeah. Oh, okay, but what did they... 2005 sort of Bingley, they butchered that man's hair.
Oh, it was awful.
Every time I looked at him, I had to look away. It was
horrendous. And, you know, to whoever that was, because honestly, I've forgotten your name, and you're never going to see this, but I'm so sorry they did that to you. So, yeah.
I love Darcy. I love Darcy.
Yeah.
But Bingley's also just a happy-go-lucky person, and I'm like, that's sort of what I want in a partner, is a happy-go-lucky person.
But I also feel like the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice, there's just some really great, like, scenes in that, like when he like helps her into the carriage. The hand flex. I actually found on Etsy a like canvas bag, and it was literally like the hand flex moment just like etched into the bag, and I'm like, I kind of want it. It's like really cute because it's just like, I don't know, I feel like the actor did do a really good job of like portraying his like, I don't want to love you, but I do type of personality.
And then we could probably go on to this in another podcast, but a lot of people point out the female gaze versus the male gaze, and the male gaze, what they think females want, are people like Chris Hemsworth with no shirt. He's pretty lookout, whatever, but it's really like what gets people going is the hand flex from the
hand flex, the Darcy running through the field, you know, not running, but just like, you know, like a cat, smooth and slick, you know, with his blouse flowing in the wind and everything. Insert clip here, you know. So it's just beautiful. So
Predator has to feel like a cat. I'm sorry, I have feral cats. I saw one this morning with a mouse, and I was like, oh, that's great.
And that's also going in the bloopers.
Yeah.
So I think we've covered pretty much everything. And since Sam's face is officially as red as the roses standing in front of her.
It's not hard to do, though. It's not hard to do.
I think this is a great place to stop off, and I have a feeling that you guys will see a lot more of Alexis in the future.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, thanks for having me.
You.
You girls are so fun to hang out with. So
We
Of
paid
course
him
we
to
are.
say that.
Absolutely. And as always, thank you, Ben, for making this possible, because obviously we would not be here if it wasn't for Ben, and we hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, we're good.
Valentine's Day. Have
Yeah.
a
Happy
lovely
Friday.
month.